Hello, everybody. David Shuster here. The U.S. Congress, led by Republicans, is now headed towards a government shutdown. Funding runs out at the end of this month, and the GOP says it will not compromise with Democrats on a spending bill.
Right now, both sides are at odds about how to proceed. Republicans have the majority in the Senate, as we all know, but they do need Democratic support to pass any major piece of legislation, including funding for the government. So they're going to need a handful of Democratic votes. And Democrats want to use this as a point of leverage to extract concessions.
Those concessions that Democrats want include extending health care tax credits under the Affordable Care Act. The tax credits, which are used to lower the cost of health insurance plans purchased on Obamacare marketplaces, are currently set to expire at the end of this year. Republicans want to deal with that another time. Here are the two caucus leaders in the Senate, Republican John Thune, but first Democrat Chuck Schumer.
Jobs are being lost. People are getting notices that their health care premiums are going up. People are losing health care. Do it now. There's no reason not to do it now.
I think that we are open to the conversation about what we do with the Obamacare premium tax credits. That's something in which members, Republican senators, and I think for that matter, Republican House members have an interest as well. But this isn't the place to do that. This is the place to fund the government, to allow our appropriations process to continue.
The Republicans are pushing a clean 7-week continuing resolution, which they say will buy time for more negotiations on full-year spending bills and possibly an extension of the expiring health insurance subsidies. Democrats, meanwhile, support an alternative 4-week punt that makes the insurance subsidies permanent. The parties are engaged in a stark role reversal from previous funding fights. In the past, it's been Republicans pushing for policy concessions and add-ons, and Democrats insisting on a clean stopgap bill. In 2013, for example, conservative Republicans led by Texas Senator Ted Cruz demanded Democrats reverse Obamacare. When Cruz and the conservatives did not get their way, they refused to provide the votes for a funding bill and shut down the government for 17 days. Now it's the Republicans who want a clean bill and Democrats seeking concessions. Although Democrat Chuck Schumer says the difference between 2013 and now is that Democrats are not seeking now to take something away. They are trying to protect existing benefits under the Affordable Care Act. And he says it's a world of difference when you're trying to do something good for people rather than doing something negative. It's not just Democrats, though, whose government funding tactics have flipped. Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson vowed last year that the GOP would never again accept a stopgap continuing resolution to fund the government. But Johnson recently muscled through the House the second GOP stopgap bill this year. And then Speaker Johnson put the House on recess. So there is now no chance for House Democrats and Republicans to even have negotiations on a spending bill and reach a compromise that can pass both chambers. Again, here's Senate Democratic Minority Leader Chuck Schumer.
But Republicans have now left town with no sign they want to avoid a shutdown in a week. They left town. Donald Trump is the shutdown president, and Senate Republicans are following him over the cliff. The stakes are real. A shutdown is devastating to Americans. Democrats are doing everything we can to sit down and negotiate. We do not want a shutdown. Our position has never changed. We need bipartisan legislation to keep the government open and meet the needs of the American people, especially on costs, specifically health care costs.
You heard Senator Schumer there referring to meeting the needs of health care costs. Experts say that taking away the Obamacare tax credits would cause health care costs to skyrocket. And out-of-pocket costs are already projected to rise sharply, given the Republican bill passed and signed earlier this year, cutting Medicare and Medicaid. However, Republican House Speaker Johnson insists that now is not the time to address or even debate those Democratic concerns.
The American agenda has had a way of having some backlash on some American companies, and we're kind of seeing that play out with NVIDIA this morning. We just gave a comment from NVIDIA's CEO where there's an article out today in the Financial Times that says Chinese authorities have told Chinese companies that they are no longer to use any chips or buy any chips from NVIDIA. They're to cancel the orders that they have. Probably because of the trade talks that are taking place right now and these issues of national security that are playing out between the two countries.
They are just trying to keep the lights on in government, except that without action, the Obamacare tax cuts will be shut off at the end of the year. And Republicans haven't exactly built up a reservoir of trust or goodwill when it comes to even keeping the status quo for healthcare. So the standoff over government funding continues. Will Democrats really withhold spending bill votes if the House and Senate measure doesn't address the Democratic concerns? Will Republicans keep refusing to negotiate, increasing the chances Congress passes nothing and the government shuts down? Both sides seem to be digging in. In the meantime, as the clock ticks closer to what would be the 15th partial government shutdown since 1981, Washington, D.C. is in familiar territory with an important difference. The Trump administration has not widely shared its plans for what government functions will stop and what will continue if Congress fails to act. Trump's Office of Management and Budget this year asked federal agencies to update their contingency plans for how they will operate if funding runs out. In past shutdowns, functions like air traffic control and law enforcement continued while financial regulators were furloughed and furloughed most of their staffs. The contingency plans have apparently not been updated yet or are not being shared. So it's not clear how the government under Trump plans to proceed if the funding runs out. In other words, everybody at this point will be flying blind. It means a shutdown will be even more chaotic, disruptive, and unpredictable. The competence needed for governing has never been a Trump team strong suit, so watch out. A gridlock Congress and a carefree Trump administration will make for a brutal combination. By the way, Donald Trump's border czar Tom Homan is getting blasted over bribery and cover-up allegations.
Tom Homan obviously needs to be fired immediately. He is the person right now at the White House working with DHS, directing what's happening across the country. In most cases, illegal raids, taking away due process from people in this country, deporting, in some cases, American citizens. And this man took a bribe. This is someone that should be nowhere near the government.
Check out that video at the link below. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us. Hello, everybody. David Shuster here. Thanks for watching. If you found this reporting and commentary valuable, do us a favor and tap the like button. For more content like this, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. That way, you'll be notified on your YouTube homepage when we drop a new video. If you are tired of corporate spin and want honest, people-focused news, click the join button below and be part of the fight for a better future. We wouldn't be here without your support. Stay informed, stay engaged, and thanks again for joining us.